Good morning. Happy Friday. I don't even know where to begin on this. We've got Jamal Murray to talk about. We've got Baker Mayfield to talk about on Thursday Night Football. Deion Sanders. There's so much to get into. DMac, Cecil, and Rachel V. Hill hanging out with you on this Friday edition of Coffee Break. And actually, you know where we need to start? We need to start by giving our respects to Demaryius Thomas because it is a 1-year anniversary of his passing. And again, we want to give everybody in thoughts and prayers to his family, to the entire Denver Broncos community, to all the lives he touched too, and just give a little remembrance this morning on this Friday morning.
That's cool. Cecil, do you have a favorite Demaryius Thomas moment?
Multiple. Just his presence in the locker room, I think. Like the way Emmanuel Sanders would always go to DU to get the quote, but DT would always talk to all of us at any time, would drop anything he's doing. I still remember the first day of open practice with Peyton Manning. And when Demaryius Thomas ran the route and Peyton's like, did I say 22 or did I say 25? Let's run it again. And DT ran it again to precision and Peyton put it right on his numbers because the first pass fell short. And it was that sort of precision. It was that sort of on-field work where Demaryius Thomas rose to the occasion. There's plenty of players, Cody Latimer, others that like shrank with a Peyton Manning in the building. Demaryius rose to the occasion and became great with Manning. And I always have appreciated that.
I think it's in total the I think one of the really neat moments was when he scored the touchdown from Tebow against the Steelers. He didn't realize the game was over.
Right.
But in defense of Demaryius, I would say more than half of the people did not realize the game was over because that overtime rule had just been instituted, and certainly nobody thought they were going to score on the first play of overtime. So it's just kind of this. I guess we just won. But my overarching bigger memory of Demaryius is just how shy and he was in the beginning to how he grew as a young man and as a leader, and he is dearly missed. And I know he has so many great memories of Demaryius, and a nice reminder to. That these guys who play this game that we love so much are people, and they go through things, and you got to keep your eyes out for them. And I don't think anybody was necessarily neglectful with Demaryius, but life is precious, and these guys put a lot on the line for our entertainment. So they do have my ultimate respect, and it's important just to keep that in mind when we become such a disposable society. Perhaps we should keep in mind every now and then that they're real human beings with real families and real lives. And we definitely miss Demaryius.
Hug your loved ones today, as always. They have stories too, like great comeback stories, like Baker Mayfield going into Thursday Night Football and winning the game for the Rams. 8 plays, 98 yards, 1 minute and 35 seconds for the win. You guys, are you kidding me? Okay, so now this opens up the question, though. Should the Broncos have looked at bringing Baker Mayfield in to be competition for Russell Wilson? Cecil, you go first.
Yeah, of course. I mean, it's about making your team better. I'm sick of and I don't like the Russell Wilson slander when it becomes personal. But if we're talking X's and O's and it's not getting the job done, you have to look to improve your team. Brett Rippon's not good, okay? And as I always often say, I hate talking bad about Brett Rippon because he'll be a head coach someday, and I may need to talk to him. So I don't want to, hurt that relationship when I'm telling him he can't play in the NFL, but he can't play. Like this whole fascination of like, let's just have Brett Rippon or let's not hurt Russell Wilson's feelings. I'm done with it. You need to be better, and competition makes you better. And yeah, Russell Wilson should be better than Baker Mayfield. We saw Baker come in and fire things up last night. I thought it was fun.
I think the job of a general manager is to give your team the best chance to win in every single scenario imaginable.
Yes.
I think Brett Rippon is that bad. Why is Brett Rippon on the team? So instead of getting a bolt of energy and raising the level of compete, the Broncos signed Jarrett Guarantano. And if the next word is who, you're absolutely right to ask that question. Yeah. So in the week that the Rams tried something different, energized their fan base, and got one of the more remarkable wins of the season, the Broncos are riding with Jarrett Guarantano on the practice squad. If Rippon sucks that bad, cut him. Mm-hmm. Cut him. Listen, you had Jared Bednar this week say, if guys are going to quit, we'll get different guys.
Mhm.
Jared Bednar said that, and they're going through a rocky patch right now with the Avalanche. We walk on eggshells over there at Dove Valley like you can't believe, all because of Russell Wilson. Hey, listen, when did Russell Wilson stop becoming a competitor? When did he stop welcoming competition? Why in the world is that a bad thing? Should they have got Baker Mayfield? Hell yeah, they should have got Baker Mayfield. It would have been a message that this guy is better than Rippon. He didn't have to be better than Russ. All he had to be is better than Brett Rippon. That's it. It would have given a bolt of lightning to this dormant organization right now. And instead, they went with Jarrett Guarantano.
And DMac, we remember, like, Rippon's here to teach Drew Lock, because Drew Lock struggled with the playbook. I mean, we're all going to be nice to Drew Lock again. They're human. But, like, when Rippon was here because he was helping Drew Lock with the playbook, that made sense in a certain way. Russell doesn't need that help. He doesn't need that help, but he needs that push, that spark that Baker Mayfield could have provided.
Listen, I'm sick of it. And I think George Payton will be retained, unfortunately, next year, in my opinion, unfortunately. If you don't bring in some level of uncomfortability and competition to Russell Wilson, you're not doing your job. Enough of this crap. I don't care how much you paid Russell Wilson. You don't need to make things easy for him on top of giving him all that money. If he's really not good enough, would it suck putting that much money on the bench? Yeah, but at the end of the day, we cannot sit here next year and watch close game after close game just fly by just because what? We don't want to offend Russ?
Yeah.
Give me a break. Frankly,
nobody's bigger than the Denver Broncos, DMac, and it reminds me of when Trevor Siemian played over Paxton Lynch. You needed to know about Paxton so you could wash it away. And when Gary Kubiak's like, I'm not going to play him in that final game against Red, and that was one game, D.
Ridiculous.
We're talking about a whole season, and how many mistakes are we going to let George Payton have? Don't get me started on Montreal Washington. Don't get me started on Delarian Turner-Yell in front of Tariq Woolen, who has 6 interceptions. Isaiah Pacheco started 6 games for the Chiefs. He was in the building on a top 30 visit at a running back position. You want to start Isaiah Pacheco, the angriest runner in the league, or you want to go to Marlon Mack and, hey, we got Mike Boone, everybody, on 3rd and 1 that doesn't work. Like, it's mistake after mistake after mistake, and I'm sick of but he's such a nice guy. Nathaniel Hackett's such a nice guy. I don't care. It doesn't matter. Get good people to make good decisions.
You got to win games to keep your jobs too. But we learned that Baker Mayfield landed in Los Angeles at 7:15 p.m. on Tuesday night, giving him 2 days to figure out everything he needed to do to win this, to allow this team, the Rams, to win a game on Thursday Night Football. So it does maybe just show, though, that coaching staffs, it matters when it comes to quarterback. So maybe next year with Russell Wilson and a new coaching staff, can we see something come alive with him? Or does it truthfully, we just need some competition here in Denver?
Well, first of all, let's praise the Raiders for being the Raiders, because only an organization as stupid as the Raiders would play press coverage with 15 seconds to go. The only defense that could get beaten is just straight up man coverage in that situation. All you had to do, you moron Raiders, was all you had to do is line up like zone defense, 3 guys at the goal line, and play it from there. You go in press coverage. So listen, praise to Baker Mayfield. He had to drop a dime, and he did. But we all realize the Raiders made it as easy as humanly possible in that specific situation. And Baker Mayfield said, I can't believe they lined up in press coverage, which he's right. I mean, like, that. How did he do it? He did it because we went back to high school. Like, it's one guy outside. I mean, I'll drop it over him. There's nothing to think about in that particular situation. What was impressive is he had the skill level as a quarterback in the NFL to actually make the throw, to recognize it and make the throw. And this is what's crazy right now. Do you guys seriously think in that same situation, Russell Wilson could have seen it and made the play the same way as Baker Mayfield did last night?
No.
I will say this, and to me, it's about fit. The dirty secret in the NFL is about fit. So could he have seen it? Yes, he should have seen it. And people will bring up the KJ Hamler thing, and I'll always point back to his feet. Like, why are the hitches in this offense so wrong? Everyone knows that Hamler should be open based on that coverage and where Hamler slammed his helmet on the ground because Russ didn't see him. But look at his feet. The hitches in the offense told him to be somewhere else. So, like, okay, it's design, it's fit. But sometimes this is where I want Russell Wilson to be more of an aloha. Scrap what your coach is trying to have you do, because this Frankenstein, like, we'll do what Russ wants, but we're kind of doing this. They don't run zone anymore. They don't do the 10,000 reps that they spent practicing all offseason. That offense is gone. The offense that you and I saw, D, in like May, like that thing's gone. They don't do that anymore. So forget this Frankenstein thing. It's just no football. That's all Baker did. He saw the coverage. He's like, I'm going to throw it up. Let my guy make a play. And he did.
What honestly was impressive, though, was just how fast that they were able to move down the field, right? And Baker was able to keep control of the offense. Like, it was impressive for the fact that we're talking 2 days that these players have all worked together, and he's able to say, hey, here's what we're going to do. Everybody listen, and let's just play this game and be able to pull off a win. It was so impressive, and it was so much fun to watch, something that we have obviously been missing here in Denver for quite a while now.
It was awesome. I mean, I don't know how. And did you guys see the locker room afterwards? I mean, they have just as bad of a season, and arguably worse than the Broncos. They're the Super Bowl champions. I mean, that's got to be devastating. They're that bad. But there they are, guys. And that was a weird game too, because it was a home game for the Raiders. That was another wild sort of thing. There were way more Raiders fans than Rams fans there. But you look at them in the locker room, and all of a sudden, a lousy season, and they are freaking fired up. They are excited. They want to be there. They want to do something that's going to get their fans fired up. And that's it. And again, the Broncos have Jarrett Guarantano. And I'm not even saying that Baker would have that role. I'm not saying he would compete with Russell Wilson. But if things are going lousy, as they clearly were against the Panthers, right? As they clearly were against the Ravens, what are we going to do, guys? Just lose? That's it? We're just going to lose. We're not even going to try? What if Russell Wilson does get hurt? I know that rarely happens. And now, Cecil, they're running an offense. I mean, it's like the feather duster offense so that nobody will touch, Russell Wilson. Right. I mean, he won't get touched. He won't do anything, because when you're 2 for 12 on third down, the truth is, every now and then on 3rd and 4, your quarterback, I don't know, crazy, might have to run for 4 yards. At least have that sort of threat. I mean, that's not a threat. Russell only ran when he absolutely positively had to. It's no threat whatsoever. And it's sad what's going on here. And why? Because we don't want to upset Russell Wilson? I mean, how ridiculous is this? It's another swing and miss by George Paton.
A big one. A big swing and miss by George Paton. And again, nicest guy ever, but you can't keep having these misses, man.
Let me take that back. It's not a swing and miss. It's standing there watching strike 3 go past you right down the middle. Because, I'm sorry, you would actually have to try to be a swing and a miss. It's just
he swung. He swung with that contract. So contract.
That's another. Yeah,
that's a story with a lot of. I love how new information comes out that's probably fake news, probably false information. After these things go down, we're about ready to hear. You want Game of Thrones? Forget that. Forget Game of Thrones. Forget Yellowstone, D. I know you love the Yellowstone. Although I do, as a country person, I do laugh at some of the stuff sometimes. Like,
well, they got to get some more cowboy stuff here, Steve.
Yes.
That show is going to lose
too much
completely.
of the politic governor stuff. I'm
Cecil,
Phantom Menace. Like, come on,
Cecil. Do you like Rip or no?
I am Rip. You kidding me?
I love Rip. DMac and I were talking about this yesterday. Do you like that?
I am Rip.
There is someone in the Denver media, I won't expose who she is, but she said, "You're my Rip." And I said, "Okay."
Wow.
That's very nice. What'd your wife say to that?
Wow.
Not real happy.
I love Rip. I'm here for Rip. Rip's the best character on that show. Well, Kevin Costner, of course, was incredible, but we'll get back to the Broncos. Go ahead, Cecil.
No, I don't know. Yellowstone, like, come on, give us some more cowboy stuff, because this other stuff's a little ridiculous. But I guess that's what it's supposed to be, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, very, very true. Okay, well, Deion Sanders, actually, real quick. Deion Sanders, I don't think, was the biggest celebrity yesterday at the CU game. Do you know who it was? Yeah, I'm just going to call it out, and I'm going to say our very own Zach Bye, who was in attendance, sitting courtside, better seats than Deion Sanders has, was the biggest celebrity of the game yesterday. Look at him with the hat, the Converse. Chuck Taylor's man's. Look at him.
What is going on?
Look at Chris. I know Chris got him those tickets, right?
Chris Fuselier.
Yeah, there's Chris Fuselier right there.
Okay. Wow, feet on the court.
Hey,
That's
man,
hot.
Chris is one of the good guys. I sat next to Dick Monfort because Chris's seats are right on the dugout, so you could put your beer on the dugout or your wine, whatever you're drinking, Rachel, like right on the dugout. So Chris gave me some Dodgers tickets one time. My best friend, who is a Dodgers fan, we went and we sat right on the dugout, basically next to the owner. It was awesome.
Yeah, that's
So,
pretty
yeah.
so cool. Well,
ZB's
Zach
getting
looks
full-time.
great. Had better seats than Deion Sanders is, but of course, Deion got the biggest celebration or biggest clap, applause. There we go. That's the word I'm looking for as he walked in. So we'll go ahead and take a listen because, yes, it was indeed very loud at the event center last night. I know you pulled it off before. It's interesting, actually, and I'm curious to get your guys' interpretation or perception of what you think of him walking in with his hood on and his sunglasses in an indoor facility. I'm just curious before I get to what I think of it. And Cecil, you can go first.
No, it's awesome. Like, I always get grief about wearing sunglasses. No, everybody needs to do it more. Everybody needs to be more like Deion Sanders. So go ahead, wear those sunglasses indoors, baby. You always want to keep people guessing. Like, I don't know, is he drunk? Like, what's going on? Is he a superstar? Like, who is this celebrity? I'm not saying hire people to take photos of you as you walk down 16th Street Mall, but like, no, man, wear your sunglasses indoors. It's okay, baby.
Hey, I love the fact, Rachel, that he ignored that Rammy trying to get a fist bump in there.
I know. What's that guy doing? Come on.
He passed on your Rammy there, Rachel. The Rammys tried.
Listen, I purposely was not in attendance for the game last night. I knew what was going to happen. As soon as CU beat Tennessee, I said, oh, there stands no chance. But I will say, I only count it as a winning season if you make it to the first or to the big dance and you got to get out of the first round. So both teams, there's still an option for them there if they can do it. So
Rachel, are you going to root for CU
in football or in basketball?
Oh, football.
Football.
Yes, as a Colorado native. Here's my only thing though with this Deion Sanders stuff and him walking in yesterday. He proved, or at least in my opinion, I looked at it as he already knows he's bigger than what CU is, right? He already knows he's bigger than it. He's looking at being a celebrity and not an employee of the university. I don't really like that.
Oh,
I know. Like if Jay Norvell walked in and was like, oh, I got my hood up, like I got my paparazzi with me. Like, you're an employee of this university.
Rachel.
No, everyone, hold on. Everyone's going to come at me and be like, oh, Rachel, you're saying this because your Rams lost. No. I'm just saying because I look at it and I'm like, you're an employee of this university. You're supposed to go out there and you're supposed to pump up the crowd. You're supposed to not make the whole situation about you and make it about the basketball team because that's where you are right now. You're going to have your time to shine. That's all I'm going to say on the situation. I was a little disappointed. I was excited to hear the speech that Deion was going to give and, really hyping up the crowd and everything like that. But I was a little disappointed that he just walked out with his sunglasses and his hood on and just walked up and gave a few people a fist pump. I don't know. I just didn't love it.
Don't tell DMac, hold on. Tell him, let me finish.
Wait, what did you say?
What?
Don't tell DMac, hold on, Rachel. Tell him, let me finish.
Oh.
Let me finish, DMac. Damn it, listen.
Oh, go ahead. I just love. Listen, I think it's great, Rachel, and I do think CSU people should take as many petty, weird shots as Deion and CU as possible. There is something to a rivalry. So, Rachel, I respect that you want to throw shade, gentle shade, where you can find it. I'm laughing at it because it's laughable. But listen, if you have some pride, CSU, bring up stupid things that don't matter.
Trust me. So here's what's actually funny, too. I'm at a bar with some of my friends last night. We're watching the game. Like, we knew we were talking about going in the game, and we were like, it's probably going to end in a loss. Like, we don't want to get the attack of some of the Boulder people. I say that in a nice, friendly way as we're leaving. Yada, yada, yada. But what's funny is it made me realize that I'm no longer a fan of the Denver Broncos because their wins and losses don't really have an impact on me, right? I'm not watching in the fourth quarter like, oh my gosh, this is going to ruin my entire day if they lose. I was sitting in that bar with my friends last night so pissed off, and I was like, are you kidding me, CSU? Like, this is what you're going to do when you go into Boulder? And it just reminded me, like, of that fun spirit that I used to have. I worked in the CSU athletic department. I covered the basketball team the entire time. Like, I remember that, and it just got me all fired up, and I was just like, are you kidding me? But that's why you love sports, right? Because at the end of the day, it gives you an escape from your everyday life. So I was disappointed in my Rams. I knew they were going to lose, to be honest. As soon as, like I said, CU beat Tennessee, I was like, oh, this is going to be a tough one. But I
think it's a funny situation for me and Cecil, too, because obviously I'm wearing my Arizona State gear. Cecil has ties to the University of Washington and Oregon State, not CU. Cecil didn't go to CU. I mean, Cecil's from Colorado, obviously. But neither Cecil or I really care. So watching CSU, CU people just kill each other about stuff, I think is freaking Cecil fascinating.
Well, and CSU's had a lot to say over the last 20 years because CU football hasn't been good. And that's what drives the thing. I know that Chris, speaking of Chris, caused controversy saying CSU, EWE, when CSU got beat, in the first round of the tourney, right, Rachel? Memory serves. And like CU didn't even make it. Like, okay, so there's some shots fired there, but it's about the football program. And let's be honest with Deion Sanders. The CU football needs Deion more than Deion needs them. Bottom line. So, is he larger than the – yes. Yeah.
But what are his bigger goals?
I mean, he's leaving
at 55, because people are saying, like, he's not going to be here forever. I'm like, he's 55. He probably only wants to coach maybe another 5 to 10 years, maybe. So, like, is he going to bounce after a couple years? I don't know. When his son goes to the NFL, like, I don't know. But how much time does he really have? And what's that next stepping stone? That would be an SEC job. But now he's got to win. You know what I mean? He's going to have the pomp and circumstance, Deion and the sunglasses and all that. Yeah, that's awesome. And
I think his daughter, too, is a basketball player who I believe is a redshirt freshman at Jackson State. Okay. So maybe he does hang in to CU for not only the time for Shiloh and for Shador, but I'm sorry, I apologize, I don't know his daughter's name, but for his daughter as well. Because I think to do this the right way, it is a full commitment. He's going to have to move to Boulder. He can't just do this job living in 9 different places. No, he actually does have to physically move his family, and I believe he's engaged too. So this is another chapter in his life, a significant chapter. And I think he's a very competitive guy, but he is a celebrity, okay? Mm-hmm. So there are going to be moments of celebrity. Hey, Rachel, no offense, but Jay Norville could go to the freaking pretzel line and nobody's going to bother him, and he could be wearing a sign saying, I'm Jay Norville, and still the only thing people would say to him is, are you going to get ketchup or mustard on your pretzel? I mean, that's it.
And I agree. I understand that. Trust me, I'm not anti-Deion Sanders. I think it's great for the state of Colorado. It's just like, I want you to be all about your program and not necessarily yourself. Because what have we seen out of big celebrities that come into Denver and it's like all about them? Well, it turns into trash like we're seeing on Sunday.
But do you know some of the Deion stories, Rachel? Like when he went to a pro day, he showed up in a limo, he ran his 40 and he ran back to the limo.
Yeah, we did.
I mean, we want him to be all about something instead of himself. It's Deion Sanders.
The real goal here is in 2 years, they'll go to 12 teams in the college football playoff. And all of a sudden, you actually have a shot as a Pac-12 team, which is wild and exciting. And the only way to get there is with a celebrity head coach. Look at all the top programs. They all got them. The end. So it's like, I understand what you're saying, Rachel. You don't want to be above the program. But we're not talking about, hockey in Moosehead, Alberta. We are talking about college football with multi-million-dollar head coaches and NIL deals. My jaw dropped when I heard Caleb Williams last year or this year is making $2.1 million in NIL deals. And I knew the kids were making money. I did not realize a 19-year-old was making, and I'm fine with it. I'm fine with it. I just did not realize it had gotten to that point where Caleb Williams, who's a true sophomore, is making $2.1 million. That is wild to me. So if you do want to compete in this world, you got to have this type of guy. And I'm sorry, CSU, unless you can back up the Brinks truck and get in a better conference, you're not going to have this.
100%. Well, I do have to stop you there because we do have to get into Cecil's Fantasy 5 at 10:55 and roll the clip. Maybe.
High five! Who do you start? Who do you sit? Any sleepers? Here's Cecil Lammy with this week's 5 fantasy tips.
All right, Cecil Lammy, how are you today?
I'm doing good, and my daughter's coming home from Oregon State for winter break, so I'm pretty happy, excited about that.
Oh, I love it. Okay, well, let's roll into these Fantasy 5. We first got In the Mixon. What do you got?
Yes. Now it's Friday morning, but it looks like Joe Mixon's going to play. So if Joe Mixon plays, he is a top 10 fantasy running back. And I know that makes people who have Samaje Perine, such as myself, a little bit disappointed. But I'm here to tell you that Samaje Perine has done enough while Mixon's been out, and certainly been a fantasy darling, to be sure, including that 3-touchdown game a couple of weeks ago. Samaje Perine's going to be working in as almost a change of pace, even though he's a big back. He's proved himself as a receiver. So you're going to have Mixon as your battering ram. He's got top 10 potential every single week with the Bengals offense rolling. And that means Samaje Perine's going to be a flex play for you now.
Oh, they do look good for sure. Number 2, start all Cowboys. How about them Cowboys?
Yeah, start them all. And it's sometimes fantasy football is simple. Who's playing the Texans? Well, it's the Cowboys. And it's Davis Mills back under center. So it's like, okay, you're starting your defense. You're going down the list. Michael Gallup, there's some CSU pride, right? Wide receiver you. Too bad, Preston Williams, the other guys haven't worked out yet. But okay, so Michael Gallup, you start him, you start CeeDee Lamb, you start Zeke, you start Tony Pollard, you start Dak Prescott, you start Dalton Schultz, hell, even start Noah Brown. If you're going to break ties this week, 6 teams on bye, so you're not going to be breaking too many ties. But if you have to break ties, break your ties in favor of the Cowboys.
Yeah, no, I agree. Michael Gallup, a huge favorite of mine. Go for Goff.
Yeah, it's so weird to think that Jared Goff is a good fantasy player, but he is. So you go for Goff and you make it happen with him. Again, 6 teams on bye. Maybe it's a streaming option. Maybe it's a start 2 QB league. But either way, Goff now with more Jameson Williams. So Jameson Williams kind of introduced last week. They're ramping him up. And of course, he had the knee injury last year in the title game. He'll get more involved. The sun god, Amon-Ra St. Brown, does fantastic things. My friend Jamal Williams has as many touchdowns as the entire Broncos offense, and DeAndre Swift now doing more. And it's all led by Jared Goff. So the Lions showing some fight against Minnesota. You could go with Goff this week.
Interesting. Wouldn't that be something? Okay, on the hunt.
Yeah, you're always on the hunt, and you're on the hunt if you're the Baltimore Ravens because you need some of those W's like you got against the Denver Broncos. You want to make them look a little bit better. You're going up against the Pittsburgh Steelers. It's on the road. These two teams hate each other. It's usually mostly a physical game, but Tyler Huntley, and I understand the last time he played the Steelers, things weren't good with Tyler Huntley, but Tyler Huntley's legs make him a top 10 fantasy quarterback. I'd put him more towards 10. And in fact, I think I might have him at 11 this week in projections. But either way, that's a quarterback 1. That's a starter. And I understand it's a tough matchup and he doesn't have targets. And oh my God. And he's, first start of the year. Yeah, he can run. Tim Tebow was a top 10 fantasy quarterback and he wasn't, half as good, a quarter as good as Tyler Huntley. So get on the hunt with Tyler Huntley this week.
What is the timeline for Lamar Jackson? Have we heard?
They've been a little. John Harbaugh will never tell you for sure, but it's probably at least a couple of weeks. So you're gonna have a couple of weeks with Tyler Huntley, and Jackson could return after that.
Okay, see what you got with him, I guess. All right, last one. Watch Williams.
Watch Williams, and I could make this about multiple Williamses, but watch Williams because, well, Jamal Williams and everything that he does in this situation. And you look at Mike Williams, right? That's another watch Williams. You're watching Mike Williams this week. You're watching him. You're not starting him. That's the key because Mike Williams is practicing. He's back. He's had 2 limited practices this week. He hasn't played since week 11. He came in week 11, played like 10 snaps and then got hurt again after missing however many games before week 11. So it's been a minute. It's been a while. Mike Williams is super talented. He was a wide receiver 1 at the beginning of the fantasy season. I want you to watch him this week. If he plays for the Chargers, don't start him. Let him see if he can get through a game. So watch Williams. Don't start him in week 14.
All right, Cecil Lammy's 5 fantasy tips presented by Hooters. Cecil, thank you so much. And we'll go back and get DMac a little bit because I actually want to do something different and fun. And yeah, we need to talk about Jamal freaking Murray because, oh my goodness, what a game he put on for.
Was that the best NBA game of the entire season of any team? I mean, 15 lead changes in the last 6 minutes. That had to be some of the most entertaining basketball. So while you were pissed off about CSU and drinking your wine or whatever, I still want to know what you're drinking, Rachel. Whatever you were drinking, cider. It's just cider, everybody.
It's actually apple juice, in case you were.
Okay. Apple juice. Yeah. There you go.
It is a Friday though, so maybe I could spice it up one day.
Maybe. But like that, everyone should have been watching that Nuggets game because that was really good basketball.
I was watching it. It was a great sports night. I mean, it was awesome to go from an amazing football game, so exciting, and then you turn on the Nuggets and it looked bad. They're down by 10 going into the fourth quarter, and Jamal Murray was terrible. He was having another bad night, and Bones Highland was playing well, and you really did have some questions as it got closer and closer in the fourth quarter. Are they going to close with Bones, and not instead of Jamal, but are you going to keep Bones on the court so that's an option? And Michael Malone didn't. He and you saw some shots of Bones on the bench, and but Jamal Murray just, hey man, props to Michael Malone. He pulled the right thing at the right time, and Jamal was incredible. He was amazing. There's something about confidence, guys, with those guys in the NBA. They really are amazing. It's incredible how they got there in the first place, and the superstars amongst all those alpha males is incredible. And way to go, Jamal, man. He sent, according to Mike Singer of the Denver Post, a text to Michael Malone apologizing for his game against Dallas, where he was terrible. And he was terrible for 3 quarters, basically, of that game until he was the best thing ever in an incredible game. That is a signature win for the Nuggets this year. That is a game that you can point to for the entire year. And good for them. They needed that sucker like nobody else.
Michael Malone has always had his finger on the pulse of his talent. He always has. It's been frustrating for us sometimes when he doesn't play younger players maybe as much as he should. But he's always had that notion of like, I know when to and how to properly motivate my guys. I've loved Michael Malone. I still think he's the type of coach to fix your program and get you respectable, but not win a championship. That I don't think that's a hot take because the Nuggets haven't ever won a championship. But like, okay, what else can they do this year? And I've often said it about Murray, and I love Murray. If he was ever, and it's never going to happen, D, but if he was ever MVP like Jokic, I wouldn't be surprised. He's that sort of talent. He is a legitimate superstar in the association. They still need a third. But that Jamal Murray is damn good, and we saw it last night.
Well,
PJ, man, where's MPJ?
He's got to be, in order for him to really be all the way back, he does have to be more consistent. If you're talking about MVPs, you are talking about Nikola Jokic, who is spectacular, seriously, every night. You guys realize Jokic does not have off nights. He might not have the same points, but that's because he's just being double teamed and he's distributing. I can't tell you the last bad game, like just off nights that Nicole, not only does he not have off nights, he very rarely has bad quarters, rarely. Not perfect all the time, but rarely. So listen, if Jamal Murray can play like an MVP candidate, the consistency would be through the roof. And the 2-man game with the Nuggets, you actually really wouldn't need anybody else if Jamal Murray was at an MVP level. I'm not even expecting it. What we want to get is just more consistency. And I do strongly believe for them to be a championship contender, they do need Michael Porter Jr. back, and he needs to play well as well. But Jamal Murray had a great night last night. So let's just focus on that and be happy about it, because that was a weird 3-game skid that they had. And so I was happy to see them rebound so well. And if you look at the schedule, they're finally about to play a lot of games at home. And it's been brutal this start of the year. So hopefully good things on the horizon.
When they gave Jamal that shot, I was like, oh no, because we saw what happened in the last game. But honestly, what kind of came down to it was the fact that they had that final timeout that they were able to use, which came down to Michael Malone being smart with the timeout that he took beforehand. And that's what you need, right? It's all a mixture of everything that has to work really well. But I was really nervous when they gave Jamal that shot because he didn't play well for a majority of that game. But when it came down to the big moment, he showed up. And I love how he shut up Dame time as Dame's sitting there being like, oh, it's Dame time.
Well, rightfully so, though. That was a ridiculous shot.
What
I mean,
did he end up having?
Like, the defense was great on Dame Lillard on that final shot. It was absurd that he made. That's why that was such a great game, because it wasn't about failure last night. It was about great plays on both sides, and even low key a great play by KCP to tip the ball away. So they didn't even get a shot at the end. So it was just. It was really awesome to see a game where both teams were succeeding until the very end. That to me is so much better than somebody failing. It was everybody succeeding, and at the end of the day, our good guys got the W, which makes it so much better.
Came down to time. And Cecil, like you said, I do think it was one of the best NBA games we've seen so far this season, which makes me excited for what is to come in the future. But I want to talk a little bit about NFL playoffs, because there's some teams that could possibly make the playoffs. There's some teams that might not possibly make the playoffs. So I've got some stickers here and some signs. And so I want you guys to tell me if you think these teams will end up making the playoffs or not. You ready?
Okay.
Let's do it.
The Patriots.
They're going to start DMac's guy, Bailey Zappi. If they do, they would. Mac Jones isn't taking them anywhere, man.
What's their record right now?
Oh, I just saw it.
I'll look it up. But
Patriots record?
They're 6-6.
6 and
bottom
6
of the AFC East, the very bottom.
I will say they will not make the playoffs.
Okay, Cecil.
No, they have to switch to Bailey Zappi, and they should have never brought Mac Jones back. Mac Jones isn't good, people. When everyone's like, he's so good, like he's not good. He's not good. He fit McDaniel's system, and he fit Sean Payton's system. If you're not running one of those two, Mac Jones isn't good.
All right, this next one, they started off real hot, and then there's been some issues.
No, of course. Yes. December. It's December football. It's about running the ball and playing defense, and the Dolphins can do both.
Dolphins make the playoffs, yeah.
I'm with you guys. Okay, what about these guys?
I think so. Why wouldn't they?
You got the Commanders on their heels, 7-5-1, stupid tie. And I know it's the NFC, it's a little bit easier, so the chances will be there for multiple teams from the NFC East, but the Giants are kind of falling apart because they broke Saquon Barkley again. Shocker. You shouldn't give Saquon 35 carries in a game. Ever since that game, Saquon hasn't looked the same.
I believe in Dable. I think they figure it out. I think they get there. That's wow. You know what's crazy is how good that division all of a sudden is.
I know. It was supposed to be the AFC West. Now it's the NFC East.
Yeah. That's very true. I did see Saquon is also doubtful for this Sunday. What about these guys? The Lions.
No way.
They're in the conversation.
No, but they'd have to win their division, and they're not going to beat the Vikings. They're not going to make it as a wild card team. If they were in the NFC South, they'd have a shot because that whole division sucks. But the Vikings are 10-2. And they'd have to win the division. They do not.
And the rest of the Lions' schedule is Vikings, Jets, Panthers, Bears, Packers. They probably lose at least 3 of those.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good point. They're still in the conversation, though. Okay, what about these guys?
You couldn't find a Charger sticker?
I'll tell you this. We should want them to make the playoffs. And here's why. If they want Sean Payton as the coach of the Broncos, you want the Chargers to actually succeed, because in an even competition, I have no idea why Sean Payton would take the Broncos over the Chargers.
He would never do that.
Will they do it? I hope so, because that's better for the Broncos.
I wrote about it and around the AFC West this week on DenverFan.com. Like, Brandon Staley's going to get fired. So they better make the playoffs so Brandon Staley doesn't get fired, so Sean Payton could be available to the Broncos.
They might, though. I mean, what is their? Let's see what their last. Who do they have left?
They might fire him even though they make the playoffs. Who was that? It was Malarkey. Mike Malarkey got fired after the Titans made the playoffs and beat the Chiefs in the playoffs.
Well, it's a good point, but certainly Staley won't have a shot to keep his job if they don't make the playoffs. You might be right. He may get fired even though they are in the playoffs. I see where you're going there. They've got, Miami, Tennessee, Indy, Rams, and the Broncos. Oof.
Yeah.
God, could they get in at 9-8 to the playoffs? Could they go 3-2? I don't know, man. Will 9-8 make the playoffs this year?
I think you got to get to 10 in the AFC.
Yeah.
Interesting. Realistically, you guys, though, Sean Payton, what's the percentage there? We keep hearing it, but how realistic is these?
Well, I suggested Deion Sanders as coach of CU in, I don't know, August or something, and I never thought it would happen. Yeah, here we are. So I understand what you're saying. Like, what's the chances? Like, hey, a shot's a shot. Long shots are still a shot, right?
Well, there's one way you can make it happen: money and power. So if you
got all that,
if you offer the right amount of money, and it's going to have to be way more than the next guy. It can't be a little more. It's got to be way more, and power, and that means personnel decision making. And essentially, George Payton would have to become Sean Payton's assistant. Now that might be okay. And George Payton, frankly, George Payton may welcome that. So, I don't think Sean Payton would care about back end of the draft, deeper roster guys, all that sort of thing. Mm-hmm. But I think Sean Payton would want to have final say on big time contracts and free agents and high draft picks. I actually think the Broncos could do it. I think if they came across the bow with $15 million per year for 6 years or something, or just $100 million guaranteed deal like the John Gruden contract, I think they actually could do it. And then if you're Sean Payton, you take it, because who's going to turn that down? Because you would know I'm here for the long haul, not for just 2 or 3 years. The Chargers are obviously a better job for the next 2 or 3 years. But how many times can you guarantee yourself $100 million? There is a way to do it, guys. And
then it comes down to who do you want to work for? Now, and maybe this sounds bad, D, but I'll say it anyway. You want to work for Walmart? You want to work for the Spanos family? Because the Spanos family is incredibly cheap. Right. And they share their facilities. You want to be half of LA scene, or you want to be everything in the Rocky Mountain Mile High region?
Rachel, I hate to keep it so simplistic, but it's the same thing as most things in life: money and power. That's it. If you can offer more money and give more power, you'll get Sean Payton.
That's the name of DMac's rap album, Money and Power.
You might have to give up a first-round draft pick, but I'm okay with that because I still think you need to tank for collapse for Caleb. That's my saying here. Nobody wants to really go with me on this, but I'm over Russell Wilson, and I don't think he has a chance to be a championship player anymore. And I don't even know why he's on the team if he can't win you a championship. He is not a developmental young quarterback that needs time to develop. No, you need to get a championship out of him or have him hit the skids. That's it. It was a ridiculous high-risk maneuver by George Payton, one that I can't believe he keeps his job with, but I guess that's going to happen. You really need to move on from George Payton. That's what you really need to do, because the guy doesn't have a clue. But whatever, you're going to keep him, make him Sean Payton's assistant, and let's move forward.
Cecil, I'm actually curious, what are your thoughts on this whole tanking scenario that DMac is?
I will say this, D, there is another, and maybe we'll talk about it on the drive today.
Another quarterback. Mm-hmm. Well, listen, I'm all for that. And don't get me wrong, my knowledge of the 2024 draft class is extremely limited.
I'm talking about this year. This guy this year.
At 20?
No. You want that Dak Prescott? You want that Kirk Cousins? I got one.
You're killing me, Cecil.
I got one.
Well, I'm not against
today with DMac?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Did you know that, D?
No, of course I knew it. Okay, yeah, no. Listen, I welcome the conversation. To give Cecil credit, nobody was on Josh Allen before Cecil Lammey. Cecil came to me and said, look at this kid from Wyoming, I'm telling you. And that was, I think, is in his freshman year, something like that.
Yeah, and I said he'd be the first quarterback off the board. He wasn't.
I was really really, Cecil? Really?
Wyoming?
I'm moving my eyes, Wyoming, okay, Cecil. It was like one of those moments. But hey, I'm not paying attention to it. If you really got somebody, in general, listen. The reason why I hate quarterbacks drafted in the second and third round. And by the way, you're all right. You got me. You triggered me, Rachel. So let's just go there as long as you trigger me. There is a freaking difference between a fourth round player and a second round player, between a third round player and a fourth round player. For Mike Evans to lump the fourth round in as the same as the second and third is like so stupid. It boggles the imagination how dumb it is.
But this is why you're right, and you've always been right in this conversation. But D, here's the only caveat.
Let me finish. Just really quick. So you can sell me on a fourth round guy or deeper, not only this year, Cecil, but every year. I just don't want to waste a second, and I know they don't even have a second round, but I don't want to waste second and third round guys are really, really, really good world-class football players. Like, for the most part, they should be instant starters in the NFL. So I just don't want to give away other starting positions for a project. But I'm okay with projects fourth round and deeper. Sorry, just wanted to finish.
Those players always should have been – Dak Prescott should have been a first-round pick. So that's why you're always right and Evans is always wrong. Like, oh, Dak Prescott, he's khaki pants. That's stupid. Dak Prescott, it was a misevaluation and a missed flight in Denver, or else he would have been the first-round pick and not Paxton Lynch. But I digress.
Well, we'll definitely have to tune into the drive to see who Cecil's got lined up for this other QB. Interesting also to add some notes. Darren Hellman and Arturi Lekanen may be playing tonight. No, Nichushkin at morning skate, so pay attention to that, everybody. Otherwise, we will see you guys. Cecil and I will be here. Or actually, no, it's just you, Cecil. It's a home game on Sunday, huh? You got pregame at 12:30. You and Mace to kick off things for the Chiefs coverage. And then we're back here for coffee break Monday morning, 10:30 a.m. Have a wonderful weekend, everybody. And go CSU. Go Rams. Bye.
Oh, my God. Really?